morning. Today is Friday, November 3rd. This is a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. It is our pleasure on Friday to have a special presentation.
I'd like to thank Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Weston, Mr. Garcetti for being here. We're still awaiting arrival of others to have a quorum. But I'd like to introduce Mr. Garcetti, our president, for our first presentation.
We need to talk about that because I'm worried about
and Mr. Reyes, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Good morning, City Council. Good morning, Los Angeles. It is a great pleasure to be here at Van Nuys City Hall. We'll bring City Council thanks to the leadership of Tony Cardenas and Greg Smith and Dennis Ahmed to bring closer to where folks live here in the San Fernando Valley. And it gives me great pleasure to be able to give a very special presentation this morning, joined by Commissioner Andrew Friedman of our Fire Commission, and also our ambassador to the United States from Hungary, who's here with his wife, Nada Shimoni, and also our Consul General, who's here as well, Ferenc Mosenbacher as well, to commemorate something that is not only of great significance to Los Angeles, but also to the entire world, the 50th anniversary of the Hungarian resistance to totalitarianism that visited them in the second half of the 20th century. And it was on October 23rd, 1956, where hundreds of thousands of Hungarians from all walks of life joined university students in a peaceful call for democracy and an end to the brutal and oppressive Soviet-dominated Hungarian communist government. It was a call of the people, by the people, and for the people. As we know well in history, though, the peaceful protesters were fired upon by the Hungarian security police, which killed hundreds and triggered a bloody fight for freedom and democracy, and the first tear in the decades-long battle to bring down the Iron Curtain. Millions of Hungarians, students, workers, men, women, children, rose up against impossible odds. And think about the courage it would take to do what they did, the simple act, unarmed, peaceful struggle, to risk their lives and take part in the noble fight for freedom and democracy. The Hungarian freedom fighters were able to establish a revolutionary government that released political prisoners, including major church leaders who had been imprisoned, took steps to establish a multi-party democracy, and called for the withdrawal of all Soviet troops from Hungary, announced Hungary's withdrawal from the Warsaw Pact, and requested United Nations assistance in establishing Hungarian neutrality. Unfortunately, the Soviet Union reacted in kind, with a swift and massive military counteroffensive against the revolt, sending tens of thousands of additional troops from the Soviet Union, launching airstrikes, artillery bombardments, and coordinated tank infantry actions involving some 6,000 tanks, which remarkably, the outnumbered and under-equipped Hungarian army and Hungarian freedom fighters resisted for several days. Prime Minister Imre Nagy was seized by Soviet security forces, despite assurances of safe passage for him to leave the Yugoslav embassy in Budapest, where he sought asylum, and he was taken to Romania and subsequently tried and executed. Thousands of Hungarians were tortured, tried, and executed by the post-1956 Hungarian government, and more than 200,000 Hungarians fled their country in the aftermath of the Soviet suppression of the Hungarian uprising, including many who came here to our city of Angels. Over 47,000 of these eventually were able to settle in the United States, where they have contributed greatly to the fabric of our society and to the strength intellectually, culturally, and economically of this country as well. In 1989, the Hungarians dismantled the Iron Curtain, and certainly the legacy of 1956 was a part of what finally was able to bring down the Iron Curtain. And they permitted East German safe passage to the West, actions that eventually led to the fall of the Berlin Wall. And on October 23rd, 1989, the Republic of Hungary proclaimed its independence. And in 1990, the Hungarian Parliament officially designated October 23rd as a Hungarian national holiday, indicating that the legacy of the 1956 revolution continues to inspire Hungarians to this day. So on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, the mayor of this city as well, we'd like to present to Ambassador Shimoni the certificate here that commemorates the courage of so many brave men, women, children, and others who spoke up for that most basic human impulse, that for freedom and that for democracy, and commemorate the contributions of Hungarians here in Los Angeles some half of a century later. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for the beauty of the Hungarian people and its country, and know that Los Angeles continues to be your great friend.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Can I, but sorry, before you speak, we have one of our colleagues, Mr. Rosendahl, who would like
No, no, don't worry.
to speak. Sorry.
I appreciated, Mr. Garcetti, your history. People don't know, they forget the history. But I can tell you, in 1956, I was 11 years old, and one of my best friends, Hansi Kuhmann, came over and fled from Hungary. He and his family did. And it was very personal, obviously, for him, but for all of us, that the revolution was taking place. And of course, here we are in 2006, and to see not only what has happened to Hungary and all the surrounding countries, but all of Eastern Europe, and then the Soviet Union also. When we were kids, I was raised a Catholic, we said the rosary every night. So that would happen, and Hansi Kuhmann would be there with me, and we would pray together for the future of the Hungarian people. So it's a great honor for me to be on the City Council of Los Angeles this very moment, Mr. President, when you honor the Hungarians for their spirit of democracy. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Well, first of all, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you for an amazing summary of what really happened, and basically what you said is what I was going to say, that in '56 we created the first crack on communism, and the fact that in '89 our countries in Central Europe were able to walk free was a result of the revolution in 1956. I also want to say that we have a strong message. The message is that freedom comes at a price. But the other message is you can crush the bodies of freedom fighters, but you cannot crush the dreams of freedom. And ultimately, freedom will come around, and nations will be free. I think this is also a message not only of 1956, not only about Hungarians, but it's a strong message to all those who still suffer under dictatorship. I want to tell you, I'm so proud that I have good Hungarians behind me who are, as a matter of fact, refugees of the 1956 revolution. They were there, they fought, they struggled, they tried to hold back the Soviets. It's so good to have my good friend Andrew Friedman, and I'm so proud Andy is now the fire commissioner of Los Angeles. I can't believe that. May I seize this opportunity through you to send a strong message from our firefighters in Budapest to your firefighters. You happen to be a city that struggles with fires much of the time, and I just want you to know that the world knows, and Hungarian firefighters, we appreciate that. I just like to say that besides my wife Nada, I have with me Ilona Rex. I have Susan Bekarovich and Attila Beres, good members of your community. And you know, our loss in '56 was your gain, but it's time that we make sure that all the experience they have gained in your democracy are now fed back to our newborn democracy. And finally, I came with a proposition. I hear so much and I read so much about Los Angeles. I read about you, Mr. President. I just want to ask you, would you want to take over the beautiful city of Budapest as well? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Beautifully said.
Thank
Yes,
you
I'll
so
take you
much.
up on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. As usual, after the ambassador, he's my boss.
No, that's okay. No, don't worry. That's okay.
Anyway, I'm the consular of Hungary, and we are really honored to be invited to this meeting, to the council, and thank you very much. And also, we are honored that you join us in celebrations of the 50th anniversary of the Hungarian Revolution and freedom fight. I know maybe my ambassador will be not happy, but there is one name omitted, and this is Frank de Balog, Dr. Frank de Balog, Commissioner. May I introduce him to you, the Council. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I came to Los Angeles in 1956. In the early 60s, it was not stylish to say that you were Hungarian because of the communist regime there. And thanks to the Hungarian freedom fighters, a number of years later, communism was defeated. but we were accepted here in Los Angeles by a wonderful city, and we thank you for that. Some of you may not remember the Tom Bradley, Mayor Yordi days when they had Hungarian commissioners, so I'm not the first Hungarian commissioner. I again want to thank each and every one of you for the wonderful work that you are doing for the city and for receiving us here today. And on behalf of the Hungarian community, thank you, and please keep up your support for all ethnic groups. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Wesson would like to say a few words.
I have one question. When I was a young man, I went to New York and I had some, I think it was called Hungarian goulash. Where can I get some of that here in the great city of Los Angeles? That is my question.
Yeah. Somebody just invited you to their house.
Okay.
You know what? You give me a call. My wife will cook a goulash for you anytime.
Thank you. Thank you. I will get your card.
And Mr. Garcetti, I would just like to add, we're so proud to have Andrew Friedman as one of our commissioners and has been an individual who is, works on, I think, our civic mindedness and works with us so often, 24 hours a day. So we're just really pleased to have him, and thank you for doing this honor today.
Thank you so much. Long live Hungary and long live our friendship between our city and this great nation. Thank you very much, Madam President.
I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Cardenas for our next presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It's my pleasure and honor to describe to you our LA City View Channel 35 and to point out some of the accolades that they so quietly have achieved over these years. LA City View 35's mission is to serve the people of Los Angeles through the government television channel by showing viewers their government at work and by giving the public direct access via Channel 35 to watch the City Council in action and enjoy a wide range of programming. And also, LA City View has been honored with over 200 local, state, and national awards, including 10 Emmys in previous years. And on August 12, 2006, the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences again honored LA City View 35 with 4 nominations and 2 Emmy wins at its 58th annual LA Area Emmy Awards. And LA City View 35 earned its 11th Emmy Award for the Outstanding Public Service Announcement category for Laws of Physics, a public service announcement campaign produced in partnership with the City of Los Angeles Department of Transportation to promote safe driving conditions, along with a second Emmy for Best Non-News Director for one of its accomplished directors. At this time, let's hope we can cue this. You're on. We'd like to roll a tape, an example of Channel 35. Are we ready?
We're here to scientifically prove the end result of riding a bicycle against traffic. The average car weighs 6,000 pounds. The average bicycle with rider weighs 170 pounds, give or take a few. A typical car traveling 35 miles per hour has 220 times the momentum or energy of a bike rider traveling 10 miles per hour. And if the two collide, bug splatter. Avoid being bug splatter. Ride right, stop at the light, watch the road.
Well, as you can see, not only do they get the news out, but they're very creative and very talented, and hence the over 200 local, state, and national awards that they've been nominated for and received. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Tony Igani, Station Manager, Mark Wolf, AGM, and Ken Simmons, Interim General Manager. And so we don't have an envelope, but I do think the name that I'm going to bring up now is Ken Simmons to say a few words.
And
Ken.
before you do that, we do have 2 council members, Mr. Cardenas, that would like to comment. Mr. Zine, followed by Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to offer my congratulations to you. I know that you folks do weekend review and interview the council members and do on the road shows and everything else, a major operation for the viewing audience. And in addition to televising our daily council meetings and commission meetings and all the other activities that you do, I just want to offer my congratulations. And all the people in the sound booth and all of the technical folks that are back there who are taking this broadcast at this moment and transmitting out to the people of Los Angeles. Congratulations to you all. Well deserved. Some very friendly faces there, and the people behind the scenes that the folks don't recognize at home, but a noble award for some wonderful work for the people of Los Angeles. Congratulations to you all for this award. Thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl.
I think, Madam President, 25 years ago, Tony Agani worked for me over there at Westinghouse Broadcasting and Cable. He helped create the beginning of public access and making public access the viable force it was in Group W and Century and the Adelphia days. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that we prepared him and trained him in the private sector. He went into the government sector, and he's been a very effective leader of Channel 35. Congratulations, Tony Agani.
Thank you very much. So who's going to be the spokesman? Okay, Ken? Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank our ITGS Chair, Councilman Cardenas, for giving us this recognition. I'd also like to thank the council for honoring us today. You know, our work is made that much easier by the achievements that the mayor, council, and my fellow general managers have been making with the many activities going in Los Angeles. We also want to make sure that we include the Department of Transportation, who is our partner in one of these events. The councilman mentioned that we actually received 4 nominations, 2 of which we were awarded. Tony is also up for another 4 awards. He actually has received 4 more awards from NATOA, which is the National Association of Telecommunication Officers. So I want to introduce Tony to you. It's really Tony's award, Tony and his crew that really made this happen. As Tony makes his acceptance speech without an orchestra to cut him off, I need you to start humming if his speech goes too long. Tony?
Councilman Cardenas, members of the council, thank you so much for having us here today. First, I want to thank the creative force behind this campaign, Watch the Road. This campaign began about two years ago, and the spot that you just saw is one of 5 spots in the series, which I'm pleased to say that through the efforts of the Department of Transportation has gotten maximum exposure on broadcast stations as well, not just Channel 35, to again promote good driving habits. So with that, I want to acknowledge Robert Manciero, right here, come on up, and Ken Husting from our partner department. Without the work of these 2 guys, the campaign wouldn't have been possible. So thank you guys. An honor to work with you all. You know, it's very gratifying for all these years to partner with departments and create important programming for our communities, whether it's public meetings like this, original programming content. It is very gratifying. But then to have your peers at the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences acknowledge that work, and then now today, it's truly icing on the cake. And finally, I want to thank my management, Ken Simmons, Mark Wolf, and Roger Fernandez for their amazing support for all these years. And of course, this is a team effort. We can't do this without the hard work, dedicated workers of Channel 35. So my hat's off to all of you behind the cameras right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As you can see, they're very experienced. None of them were in the bathroom when we called them up. And they have demonstrated once again that they know how to get things done on time and under budget, as he finished talking with 45 seconds left on the clock. So with that, I'd like to give this resolution on behalf of the entire city of Los Angeles to LA City View Channel 35 for their excellent service and support of the community of Los Angeles and demonstrating that Los Angeles is Hollywood and we are the best. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas, and congratulations to our entire LA City View family. Madam Clerk, we now have 11 members. Please call the roll.
Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Padilla, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Weston moves and Mr. Weiss seconds. If there's no objection, those will be approved.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Zine moves and Mr. Rosendahl seconds. If there's no objection, those 2 will be approved.
On the regular agenda, item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing, and the recommendation for council action would be to open the hearing and continue the hearing and ordinance to November 28th.
Okay. If there's any objection to continuing that, if not, so ordered. Next items, please.
Next items are street lighting ordinances, items 2 through 8, and I believe there's a card on item number 7.
Okay, let's call that special for card. Colleagues, any specials from the balance of the items? It's 2 through 6 and 8 and 9. Mr. Cardenas.
Mr. President, I'm sorry, item number 9 is a hearing on Public Works and Budget and Finance and Personnel Committee reports. Do you want to take that one separately?
Sure. So
Okay.
any specials, colleagues, 2 to 6 and 8? Mr.
I just have a
Zine?
comment on 9, too.
Okay.
We'll hold off on that?
We'll call 9 special.
All right, okay.
Any other specials, colleagues? If not, let's open the roll on the balance. Oh, wait, these are all ordinances, so let's see what attendance is. Why don't we hold those on the table for a moment, see if we get one more council member. Are we expecting one more council member?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the first reading then. Open the roll, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those will be carried over 1 week. Next items, please.
Next item is item number 9, and that was called special. And next items on council's agenda are items for which public hearings have been held, items 10 through 13, and committee reports have been distributed on 10, 11, and 12.
Okay. Colleagues, anybody wishing to call 10 through 13, any specials? Yes.
Special.
12 for Mr. Cardenas. Any other specials, colleagues? If not, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote on the balance.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 14 through 24. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Any specials?
You have cards on 17 through 24.
Okay. We'll call those special then, for cards from the public. That leaves us 14 through 16. If nobody else wishes to call those special, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
That would take council back to the items called special, or do you
Okay.
wish to take up public comment at this time?
Let's go ahead and take up public comment at this time. Let's go ahead and we'll start here with Nadine Hardman, and after that will be Hugh James Hardman. Welcome to City Council.
Hi, my name is Nadine Hardman. I've lived in the Valley for over 23 years. I've been dealing with City Council, Building and Safety, and Code Enforcement for almost 2 years now and have gotten nowhere. Mr. Cardenas is my City Council. I've dealt with Sonia, El Toro, and now Frank. No one can give me answers to any of my questions. I'm either avoided, I'm lied to, I'm pacified, or I'm BS'd on every issue I've asked. I have never complained about anything. This happened 2 years ago. I have all written here. I know I only have so many minutes, so. One of my problems is the fact that as a taxpayer, I believe I and the rest of the taxpayers in this room pay for the salaries of Building and Safety, Code Enforcement, and City Council, which means I am an employer of you. As an employer, if I treated my employer as I have been treated in the last 2 years, it would be cause to be fired. Cause to be fired. I am not crazy. I have tried to put humps on my street. We have prostitution on our street. We have cars flying down our street at 85, 90 miles an hour. I can't get humps now. I can't sign for all the humps on my street now because City Council, bless their heart, did put a stop sign in to help. But now the street's no longer one street. It's become 2 streets. So now I can't get all the signatures. I have to find somebody else. I take my children to school. There is prostitution where I send my kids at the bus stop. They're walking. The hookers are walking. Something needs to be done. I love the Valley. I love California. We're losing people right and left because
Thank you,
of
ma'am.
this.
Thank you very much. That is your time. Thank you for your comments. Hugh James Hardman is our next speaker. Welcome, Mr. Hardman.
Hi, Eric. I got 2 minutes here. Yeah, all I ask is I get your attention, please. For the last 2 years now, I've been trying to get building and safety and code enforcement to solve some issues, and we've been lied to, avoided to. I've got everything here, the copies of the permits, photographs, which I won't bother you with you now, but I need to know who to speak with because everybody's got a different answer. I've been lied to by building inspectors. I'm not going to mention names because that's not going to serve any purpose, but 2 years ago, there was some buildings put up. We contacted code enforcement, please. We contacted code enforcement. They gave them an illegal permit. I questioned it. They didn't call me back. The illegal building is still there. The carport's still there. The building inspector told me, Eric, the building inspector told me they could put up an accessory living quarters. I said, and they needed a letter of variance. He said, we've got the signatures. Eric, I went down there. They didn't have the signatures. They revoked the permit for the accessory living quarters, gave them a permit for a rec room, said they were going to have to build storage and have an access to the outside. My wife called city council and said they needed to address something about the parking, and the very next day we got a compliance order. You listening, Eric? We got a compliance order for a building that had been there for 25 years, okay? Out of the blue. I went down there, I got a permit for it. The building inspector came and inspected the building. He wasn't even code enforcement. He started trying to harass me about things that he had already signed off on. Anyway, the bottom line is, I've got documents, copies of the permits. Eric, if you live next door to this, who would you talk to?
Excuse me, Mr. President. Please address the council as a whole, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti, council members, if you live next door to this, who would you talk to? Because I spoke with Mr. Grenadis' office. I've spoken with plenty of people at code enforcement, building inspectors. Everybody's got a different answer. Everybody says things are fine. Compliance orders are written, but they can't be fulfilled. If you live next door, who would you talk to?
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your comments. Our next speaker is Noel Weiss. We'll make sure we get somebody to come talk to you right now, sir. Noel Weiss is our next speaker. Right behind you is David Lara from our Building and Safety Department. Mr. Weiss? And after that will be Daniel Gus.
President Garcetti, council members, if I could just get your attention here for a couple of minutes. These tenant issues, these tenant mitigation issues, we're dancing around it. I'm having passed around to you a proposed 9 and 20 solution. Basically, bottom line, we got it. I think the most simple solution to try to get this problem resolved, raise the amount of money for the tenants under the relocation. $9,000 for non-seniors, non-disabled, $20,000 for seniors, disabled, and for families. The numbers basically are market-based, they're driven, it's appropriate. I think the people should know where the council stands on these issues. So far up until now, we don't know where you guys stand on any of this stuff, and right now the people need the relief. It can be done simply, it can be done quickly, it can be done promptly, and I know you all basically mean well, you want to do well. There's no reason why we can't get the job accomplished. We got it with Mr. Garcetti's leadership, we got it accomplished in his district on one project in Maltman Avenue, $9,000 for those tenants. I ask for your favorable consideration. I need 2 of you out of these 15, 2 little bright lights to shine in this little area of darkness here. All we want is a debate. All we want is the opportunity. If we don't get it, then what's going to happen is we'll go the initiative route, we'll get it done by the people, and at that point, somebody on this council is going to have to take a stand. But I'm looking for an opportunity here to do one very simple thing. Just have a debate. Sign the motion. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a vote. Let's see what happens. 9 and 20 solution. Thanks.
Thank you. Daniel Gus is our next speaker. And then Susan Rocha.
Last night on Channel 2, investigative reporter David Goldstein did a story on animal cruelty in the city of Los Angeles. He had undercover footage inside pet stores in the city of Los Angeles where store owners are seen physically slapping a puppy across the face and dispensing medicines that the state requires have to be dispensed by a veterinarian. Channel 2's reporter David Goldstein interviewed Madeline Bernstein, who is a consultant to this city council, and Madeline Bernstein said that Ed Boakes and the Department of Animal Services is failing to monitor cruelty in the city of Los Angeles pet stores. I don't know why KCBS and David Goldstein have to do Ed Boakes' job, but it was all over the 11 o'clock news, and if you want to see the report, please go to kcbs.com and see what they broadcast last night when Ed Boakes wasn't doing his job. A few days ago, I asked City Council why no animals were brought to the Sherman Oaks Street Fair. One of your offices, there was 100,000 people according to the Sherman Oaks Chamber of Commerce. One office says, well, this took place in Councilmember Gruhl's district, but the shelter's in Councilmember Cardenas's district. And I'm tired of bringing real valid points to your attention, and like this other lady said before, having these points ignored. I think City Council's attentions are misguided when you're looking for term extensions, when real people, citizens of the city, are bringing real important issues, valid and verifiable issues to your attention, and you're talking about getting term limit extensions when our real life complaints are being ignored. All of your offices are misdirected and misguided when your efforts are being put to term limit extensions, and I'm tired of having the stories being done by the media when Ed Boakes should be doing his job, and it's just disgusting. Stop with the term limit talk and get down to business and listen to your constituents. Thank
Susan
you.
Rocha is our next speaker, and then after that is John Walsh.
I'm asking Ed Reyes to stop the nuisance going on in my house all day long, 7 times a day. He believes in freedom of
Ma'am,
expression.
we can't quite hear what you're saying. Can you please lower that down? Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I have to hear it all day. He believes in freedom of expression, but he doesn't live across the street from the church. So he doesn't care if it's a nuisance, he doesn't care how loud it is, he doesn't care what hours that this goes off. And I want to change in the noise ordinance that exempts churches and schools from the ordinance and gives them a blanket statement to be as loud as they want whenever they want. Now, most churches are wonderful, but there are a few that refuse to change, that refuse to lower their volume, that refuse to change the hours that they go. And all day long, they're going dong, 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 dong. I don't need a clock in my house. I have a clock. So at 12 o'clock, it goes off 12 times. At 3 o'clock, it goes off at 3 times. And at 6 o'clock, it goes off 6 times. And in addition to that, I have to hear their wonderful organ music, which I used to enjoy, but I don't anymore because I'm tired of the organ music, and I shouldn't have to hear anything that I'm forced to hear, but no one else is forced to hear because they don't live across the street. Change the noise ordinance. That's not fair to me, that I have to live through hell with this ding-dong all day.
Let's hear it.
Oops.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'd like to pass that around, we'd be happy to listen to it if you want to give it to the guard, but right now.
This is how loud it is in my house, so.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Reyes, did you want to say something? Yeah, Mr. Reyes.
Mr. Reyes said he would do nothing.
Excuse me
That's
one
what he
second,
told
ma'am.
me.
Mr. Reyes?
Colleagues, just so you're aware, we've had building and safety, we had the city attorney, we've had folks do decibel level checks, we've met with the officials who run that particular church, we met with the neighbors. It's been going on for 2 years. We've done everything in our power to be responsive to both sides of the issue, and I just want to make sure that that's stated for the record. And we do have the situation. It's her interpretation. And again, it's one of those issues that we have to just work with. You should know all this effort has been put in place. It has not been ignored. And I followed every step that this city allows us to address issues like this. But thank you very much.
Mr. Reyes. Mr. Walsh is our next speaker. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. John Walsh is our next speaker. I'm going to have to ask you to make way so we can hear him. Welcome, Mr. Walsh.
30-year resident of the city of Los Angeles. I have come here to issue you an invitation to a debate. There has been no debate on Proposition R. You're not slipping it through. Hollywood PAC is holding a debate. All 15 of you are invited. Mr. Dog, everyone is invited. The whole city is invited to the Hollywood PAC meeting at 1201 Lodi Place at 7 p.m. on Monday. Now, I know how the game is played. You will pay no attention to this until the media pays attention. The media will be there. and I hope you will be there. We have invitations now for you to come to the Proposition R debate. Now, he's not even paying attention. Bill Mott was not even, why don't you turn the camera on to them? We're holding a debate. You made a living out of debates.
Mr. Walsh?
You're treating us like trash.
If you could address the council as
Mr. Rule is paying no attention.
Mr. Walsh?
And I tell you, we will pay attention. You have something to say, wait till I finish.
No, just please address the council as a group. We'll give you a second. Thank you.
And then you make sure, as president, they pay attention to what we're saying, and you do your job before they take you out of your job and vote you out. I'm telling you, you are absolutely rude. We should give you 4 more minutes. I'm telling you, it says expired up there, fine. I would like right now to hand out these invitations, but I'm telling you that tomorrow, I should say on Tuesday, we're going to expire you. Come to our debate, every one of you. ¿Quién es más macho? Let's go, let's have a debate.
Thank you. Chuck Tenen is our next speaker.
Good morning, City Council members. This is for Herb, Eric, Bill, Wendy, Ed, and Dennis. I'd like to introduce a new idea and a plan that can curb the loss of existing affordable housing. It's called a Tenant Co-op Assistance Program between tenants, low-income buyers in the city of Los Angeles that will offer affordable tenant apartment ownership in an existing rent-controlled or affordable housing building. When it's prepared, Noel Weiss and I would like to present it to the City Council. It's an economic, practical alternative to curb the growing loss of existing affordable housing and the demolition of existing structurally sound apartment buildings that represent the characterization of California and the city, its historical style of family neighborhood living. That they're not being replaced. Tenants are being displaced with no place to go because of 2006 soaring prices in the rental market and a 2.5 city vacancy rate. Here's how it works. A buyer or nonprofit organization would buy an existing apartment building that is under rent control that is available for purchase rather than a land speculating developer buy it and tear it down for land speculation and the loss of affordable housing. The buyer would then sell the improvements to the tenants, and the buyer would own the land in conjunction with the city's participation, and the buyer would be subsidized by the city from the $100 million affordable trust funding to preserve existing and for new apartments and condos and affordable housing. The buyer would in turn subsidize the qualified tenants. The tenants would then own and be responsible for the improvements under a co-op program. This would help to curb the growing loss of existing affordable housing and cushion the pressure. It would give the existing tenants the opportunity for affordable ownership, being responsible for the improvements.
Thank you, Mr.
And because of that, it would qualify them for future upgrades.
Thank you, Mr. Tenen. And I know we've been in committee working on the tenant ownership stuff, so we certainly are waiting a report back on that. We'd be happy to work with you on that. Irena Sfiziola, excuse me if I mispronounced that, is the next speaker. Welcome to City Council.
Shabiola, Polish-American, and I want to thank you, the council, for presenting honor to the Hungarian community and his appeal for a closer working relationship with ethnic groups within the city of Los Angeles. As a former educator, I would like to see a closer relationship between LAUSD and the LAPD to address the increasing gang problem. We're making efforts, we'd like your help in making these efforts come to positive conclusions. My third appeal, or my third comment, the North Hills West Neighborhood Council needs closer scrutiny. Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is holding a meeting today. I wanted to go to that meeting. It's an all-day meeting. Why is there a conflict? They're not doing the kind of job I expected them to do. Our North Hills West Neighborhood Council needs closer scrutiny for the misspending of public money, racism, manipulation of elections, and help in some way. It's a 3-year appeal, and nothing's been happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Sharon Brewer. And after that will be Candido Mares.
Sharon Brewer, 5-year advocate for wildlife safety at Lake Balboa. There are no laws saying must allow fishing at Lake Balboa. No laws to protect the wildlife from the public about abuse at a city park. City Council on Recreation and Parks, you helped kill this grebe. The picture's taken on 10/7. It has fishing line down its throat. It died of the condition. This is a picture of a coot taken on 10/26. It has fishing line down its throat and fishing line around its legs. On 10/7, a blue heron was intentionally fed a fish that was attached to a fishing line so it could swallow it, which it did do. I am still trying to find out what happened to that heron. I sent something on October 17th to Ed Boakes. Maybe the city council would do something about the abuse of the wildlife at Lake Balboa if the wildlife were registered voters. Please stop the abuse that you are allowing to happen, you and Recreation and Parks. Thank you.
Candido Mares is our next speaker.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. Welcome to the heart of the San Fernando Valley. Van Nuys is the home of the only community court program in the city of Los Angeles, where we are working with the mayor and with you folks to help take families off Skid Row and hopefully put them in better places to live. The Van Nuys is also an area where we hope that, Ms. Grew, with your leadership, that tourism will one day be unbelievable, and the valley is a great place to live, and we hope that everybody realizes that. We would ask that you join us on November the 25th. We are going to be holding a holiday festivity event. Councilman Cardenas and hopefully the mayor will be here, and we ask you to please all join us, and we hope that you'll participate. Remember, November the 25th. And lastly, on July 7th, again, we had the honor of having Mr. Guy Gabaldon. I know Mr. Huizar is still working to secure his medals, and we were honored to have him here. Again, thank you very much for being here in the San Fernando Valley.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Matt Dowd.
Oh, my car. I was here way before him.
Mr. Dowd, you're next.
Okay, thanks. Reset the clock, please. I think I lost a few seconds already. We going to do that? Okay. I'd like to thank the viewers who emailed me on Wednesday night and agreed that I was ejected from City Hall with no warning. It's a violation. I want to thank them, though. They mean a lot, and I'm glad to have your support. Election next week, I want to expose a couple of lies that are on this ballot. I shouldn't have to expose them because the Superior Court Judge O'Brien already exposed Prop R as an illegal ballot issue proposal. The city attorney came in here and warned this council that it was illegal. He was right on that one. But now you've got to appeal that, get it back on the ballot, have everyone go vote on it, and then go to court to find out if it really is legal. But the point is, if these projects and everything you justify this extension with, if those projects are any good, then they will be continued by the people who follow behind you. The President of the United States only has 2 terms. See, had you included the city controller and the administrative officer and the attorney, maybe you would have some kind of credibility. Preparation H, going to apply that to the hemorrhoid that is Skid Row. But it's just going to show up somewhere else because this $2 billion that the taxpayers are going to have to repay, see, I've changed my mind on this now. That's just another tax. Where's that money really going to go? And in Venice, the lady with the sound, they brought out a sound ordinance in a state park. We were protected religious expression, but they found a way to put a 50-foot sound ordinance on us. Bill.
Zuma Dog is our next speaker.
All right, well, first of all, start the clock. Well, don't start the clock before I get up here. Second of all, this is a city council meeting. It's not a nursery daycare center, and the council members is a full-time position, and I don't know why council members are having daycare services right now. You didn't even hear anything Matt said, and I'm serious
Please
about
address
that.
the council as a whole,
I am
sir.
addressing the council. It's not a daycare center. Hey, don't boo me or I'll have you removed, all right? Now, we got a sample ballot right here that didn't make it. We got problems with the registrar's office with the elections. I think I've been on the radio and TV, and you know about this, that the mail has not been received to the registrar's office, and people have not received mail from the registrar's office. So a lot of absentee ballots that were sent to people were never received. People that sent absentee ballots back to the registrar's office never got it. Also, voter registration cards were not received by the registrar's office. I was personally told they've had problems with the mail from the U.S. Post Office. So get ready for thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of voters going to vote and being told that they're not registered. If you want to see more, go to the Zuma Dog website. I blogged about it. Right now, be very aware of these. It's for Proposition R, okay? They're duplicitous and intentionally deceiving flyers sent out by City Council. Supporters of R could not even come up with a flyer without being intentionally duplicitous and intentionally deceiving and using the city's office duplicitously. Talk to Laura Chick about it. So let's just talk about why Measure R this Tuesday is bad. First of all, it's unconstitutional to have two separate items on one ballot initiative. If you want to extend your terms, why don't you say we want 3 terms instead of 2 and put it for an upvote? Don't attach this ethics reform campaign lobbying to the measure, because what if you want to vote no for council members' extensions but yes for ethics lobbying? Well, you can't do that because you mingled them. Secondly, you had a judge and your city attorney that says this doesn't even do anything for campaign ethics reform. The city attorney said it might actually weaken ethics reform, and it doesn't do a thing. I can think of no better reason to vote no on an unethical ethics bill. How can you vote
Michael
yes
Hunt
on
is
an
our next
unethical
speaker.
ethics bill?
Mr. Hunt? Yeah, Ms. Gruhl?
How many of you like having a Spider-Man here to come visit in City Council? Just wanted to see that. We're a family-friendly place here in City Hall.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Mr. Hunt?
Ms. Gruhl, I too
Please.
agree with you here, and I'm for Spider-Man. Tommy is my special guest, and leave the kids out of it. Politics and kids don't go together. So, but still, they have every right to be here. Ms. Gruhl, my hat goes off to you for bringing Tommy. I even have to tailor my speech because Tommy's here. But anyways, if I have
We'll make him a regular then.
like I said, the kids is my soft heart. But anyways, the 4215 is in court on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. This is the third time that it's been up for grabs, and I really hope you guys, it's like getting a whooping once, going back doing the same thing twice, and then doing it a third time. All of you guys really have to recognize you can't violate anybody's constitutional rights. That's first and foremost. I don't care what color you are, brown, green, red, or whatever your origin is. I don't care. You can't do it. I mean, everybody has a right. Everybody has, whatever they are, and because they're really just all God's people. But here again, you can't violate anybody's constitutional or civil rights. That's very important to me. That's the only reason why I'm down here. The 4215 has violated people's rights, not only in 97, but August 2005, and now it's back in court on the 8th of November. And what's up, little Tommy? Keep on running and keep on playing. You might be a councilman, too. We love you guys, and much love to you.
Thank you very much. We now go downtown for public comment, starting with Itzel Sanchez, and then Karen Castellanos will be our second speaker. Itzel Sanchez will be our first. Itzel. Welcome. We can see you on the television, and go ahead and start. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. My name is Itzel Sanchez. I am in 10th grade at Camino Nuevo High School. This past week, we have been doing our community hours. I chose to do them at the BRU, which stands for Bus Riders Union. Ever since Monday, I have been intrigued. This organization has made me aware of some of the many issues that my community has, but most importantly, the major issue occurring within the world, global warming. I've gone out into buses and conversed with some of the many people that make up my community about an alternative that is set right in front of us so that the city decreases the amount of CO2 and other gases that go into the atmosphere. By having a bus-only lane, we can help the bus system become more efficient. The hardworking people will get to their destination in a much shorter period of time. I, as a student, have to get up earlier than usual and be at the bus stop about 20 minutes earlier if I want to ride the bus to school. The school is only 10 minutes away. When I come back from school, sometimes I have to wait in Wilshire Street for almost half an hour for the bus to arrive. And when it comes, there are up to 3 buses behind each other. There needs to be a change in the scheduling of buses to better help the citizens. Some people may say that the bus-only lane will simply create more traffic, but if our system is better, more people will use it and stop using their cars. This will only benefit the community and help prosper the amount of jobs and money within the community. But if this does not happen, our world will be affected negatively. We have to think about the upcoming generations and their well-being, because they will be the ones suffering in the future if we don't do anything about this matter. I hope the board will extend the project and consider it as something of high importance, because as little as it may seem, it is something great. For the past week, we have been collecting almost 600 postcards to come out and deliver to you, Councilmember Rosendahl. We are very proud of our work this week, collecting them, and hope that you take it into consideration.
Thank you very much. Karen Castellanos will be next. Welcome to City Hall.
Good morning. My name is Karen
morning.
Castellanos. I'm a high school student at Camino Nuevo. I have been doing my volunteering hours with Bus Riders Union. During my time there, I've been going out to the community and getting people to sign to stop the elimination of the bus-only lane. A bus-only lane from downtown to Santa Monica can contribute to the fight to stop global warming. Global warming really worries me. I know in 30 years from now, my children and I will be in trouble. We must make better decisions for the future and for the generation coming up. As well we know, we live in one of the most contaminated cities in the world. The children, as my nephew, are the most affected because they breathe in very toxic air, and they are the most effective. As a bus rider myself, I have seen how people get tired of waiting for buses. These working class people depend on the bus to move them around the city. For this, I really hope that this project of the bus line on Wilshire would move up and not hold back, because we bus riders need it. I also hope that you as council members can be part of the solution and move this project up forward, that it will benefit all bus riders and improve the society we live on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Francisca Porchas is next, and then Anna Kim.
Good morning. My name is Francisca Porchas, and I am here on behalf of the Bus Riders Union to ask you to extend the Wilshire bus-only lane. We share in the same frustrations and concerns that Councilmember Rosendahl has raised over the past year and a half, which have been some of the ones we've raised. The reality is, and we've actually seen very positive moves on behalf of MTA, on behalf of City Council, to reconstruct the curb on the Wilshire bus-only lane to pave the way, on the Wilshire Boulevard to pave the way for the bus-only lane. And positive support from Councilmember Gruhl, from Councilmember Weiss, but the reality is that it's gonna take, the reality is that there hasn't been a significant extension up to this point, right? The reality is that since 2004, since Councilmember Mizakowski's bold move to implement the 1 mile, there hasn't been a significant extension or extension at all, right? And so what is it gonna take to actually make this happen? It's gonna take somebody on this council to really champion the extension of the Wilshire bus-only lane, to truly be innovators and make environmental, public health, and sustainable transit policy to extend the Wilshire bus-only lane. We have been doing a lot of work. I mean, we need to set a precedent for the king culture of Los Angeles, and the Bus Riders Union has been doing a lot of work, has organized more than 130 businesses on the corridor, has organized students, bus riders, community organizations, health organizations, but we really need one of you either representing the corridor, one of you on this board to really work with us. We're going to be contacting your offices. We need one of you to really do the other part of it, which is implement the policy, put up the policy, and we can build the biggest, broadest coalition to make this happen. We will be contacting you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna Kim is our next speaker.
I'm Anna Kim, and I'm a doctoral student in urban planning at UCLA, and I'm here because I'm also really concerned about the motion to eliminate the bus-only lane on Wilshire, proposed by Councilmember Rosenthal. We all know that LA is one of the most auto-dense cities in the nation, and we also know that bus rapid transit has been one of the few immediate solutions that cities have taken to reduce traffic pollution and increase public transit ridership. Current data shows that the Wilshire Rapid system has already been successful by attracting approximately 17,000 new riders from their cars to the buses. Just to give you an example, in 1973, the El Monte busway was similarly successful, peaking with a ridership of about 30,000 per day, which is also the estimated ridership for the Wilshire line. But the city perceived an unused capacity between when the buses were running, and in the 1980s, they opened up the facility for use by carpools. With the buses delayed by HOV automobile traffic, ridership on the buses dropped to about 20,000, which is a reduction of 33%. Let's learn from this mistake. Taking away the bus-only lane would be like reversing efforts for cleaner air, better health, and the potential for a more efficient city. All the council members should be working to extend the bus-only lane. And converting the bus-only lane to a mixed-flow lane will increase vehicle throughput, we already know that, and it will also decrease human throughput because ridership on buses will just drop. A conversion will make the situation worse because traffic isn't going to go away by itself. If we really wanted to resolve this congestion, we need to prioritize alternative modes of transportation and really work to reduce auto use. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim, and thanks to the Camino Nuevo students especially. We're looking forward to the high school opening shortly, and thanks for coming down to City Hall. Before we go to the next speaker, Mr. Rosendahl did want to give a short response.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that. And I certainly thank the constituents for speaking because what they're talking about is the future. The future is something that requires us to have a bus-only lanes and to have light rail and to have mass transit all over the great city. But what was amazing was last week at the Transportation Committee meeting, the DOT personnel said it would move faster.
Real careful just by the Brown Act rules, just to make sure that's a brief response.
But 30 months of one bus-only lane, what we suggested was postponement until we have more and get the energy around it to have more so that, in fact, we could have a bus-only lane. The experts said right now it's squeezing into 2 lanes to the 405, making it worse. That's why we're discussing. We appreciate their comments, though.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Our next speaker is Richard Robinson, and then Don Garza will be after that, down in City Hall as well. Richard Robinson, welcome to City Hall.
Mr. President, members, I reside at 1730 North La Brea in the 7-Star Motel at Hollywood and La Brea in Your Honor's district. Across the street from my church, no bell tower or chimes. The Christian Science Church in Councilman Labange's district, just across the street from yours. Sir, the 1-block street behind the 7-Star Motel needs a cul-de-sac because drug dealers use that street to push the drugs. For 15 years, I've been fighting dope dealing and prostitution, building the foundation of my Neighborhood Watch, COP, a community outreach program. The Taiwanese owner of the 7-Star Motel, Mr. Robert Yu, and I have been trying to upgrade that property with the help of the ambassador from Taiwan, Dr. Wei. Dr. Wei is from Taipei, Taiwan, and has helped us make that motel an upscale motel. What I'm hoping to do is to organize with your offices, and I was in your office yesterday, a block party to inform the neighborhood, the neighbors around the hotel, about the changing nature of that motel, which is, in my estimation, the fulcrum, the cauldron, the crucible of a lot of change in Hollywood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for stopping by the office. We'll continue to work with you on that. We appreciate your activism in the area very much. Don Garza is our next speaker, and then Greg Fuentes will be after that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning there. It's weird to look at myself on TV. I just come here this morning because I thought everybody was going to be here today. Apparently, I forgot it was the first of the month and the first Friday of the month, and you guys are over in Van Nuys. But I just want to tell you that I finally read, the Ninth Circuit decision on the Jones case, and it seems that all of this stuff that's coming down is not, from what I'm reading, is not things that were made up by the city. This being an election year, you'd think they would have been the ones that come up with these bright ideas to go around the rules, but it was the Ninth Circuit that decided for the plaintiff. So I guess I can't be upset with the mayor and Chief Bratton, but the neighborhood we're pretty scared because right now we've got the Safe Cities Initiative doing its thing. We're seeing improvements, but what we fear is that it'll end once the political will ends. And Zumadog, unfortunately, I have to support Measure R because we don't know what kind of people are going to come and be on our city council. It's like playing the lottery, and they may decide that Skid Row is too much of a big hot potato issue. And this city council has done some marvelous things in my community, and we need to continue the approach of regionalizing the creation of permanent supportive housing. We've got like 4 or 5 going up from the ground up in my neighborhood right now. We need to do what we need to do, and we got to keep a lot of these people on the city council. That's basically what I got to say. The neighborhood is pretty much against whatever y'all's compromise was. You need to come down and actually speak to the homeless. So that's all I've got to say today.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Our next speaker is Greg Fuentes.
Good morning, council members. I wish I could be up in Van Nuys with you, but I have business downtown. On October 31st, I addressed this council. I also addressed the ITGS committee regarding certain cable television matters. One of them involved Time Warner changes in channel lineups that they are going to be making in the West Los Angeles area, and the notice that I received on October 21st about these changes. On Tuesday afternoon at the ITGS meeting, I also provided a copy of this notice with some annotations by me. Now, this notice is facially deficient in that it states that complaints must be received within 90 days of this notice. First, I'm not sure that I had given up my First Amendment rights when I became a Time Warner customer when they took over my system. Also, this notice gave a wrong address for the Franchising Administration Division's offices. The address is over a year old. Potentially more important was that this notice doesn't come close to complying with state and federal rules or laws about providing 30 days notice to customers. So I'm asking the City Council to do a couple of things. One, investigate this matter and see what ITA knew about this and what steps that ITA took to ensure that the notices were timely delivered and accurate. I'm also requesting that City Council ask ITA if I'm the only person who's complained to them about defective notices, and if other Time Warner cable customers in other parts of the city have brought this to their attention. I thank you very much, and I will follow up with another letter. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Michael Carrion, and then Sheldon Walter.
Yes, my name is Michael Carrion, and I'm here to address the whole City Council on a letter that I received from Mr. Reyes' office. Letter states that I am pleased that my office was helpful in achieving a positive resolution to my inquiries. Well, I don't have a positive resolution. Why was this mailed to me? Mr. Reyes has a pamphlet out here. In the pamphlet it states, trash and debris and excess vegetation, reference number LAMC 91.8104. Property must be maintained free from debris and overgrowth of vegetation. The LA Board of Education took the property on Bodrian Temple by eminent domain, but they refused to clean the property. The last time I brought this to you personally, Mr. Reyes, you stood up here upset, said, I have a paper, look, it's done. It is not done, Mr. Reyes. I have a camera that says it's not done. I came here directly from there half an hour ago, and it still has not been done. So please, get off of this seat, drive by, and look at the property before you stand here in front of everybody and embarrass yourself and say it is done. You're only as good as the staff you have, and if the staff you have is lying to you, then you are a fool if you believe that.
Sir, we have rules of conduct where you're not supposed to be insulting. We appreciate the comments, but you've crossed that line, so we'll ask Sheldon Walter to come forward now.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Mr.
sir.
President, council people, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sheldon Walter. I'm very happy to see you folks meeting here in the San Fernando Valley. I hope you have enjoyed no traffic or transportation problems getting here. I want to commend for your review a article in the Daily News, yesterday's Daily News, written by Richard Reardon, who's mayor of the city was a former mayor of LA City. He has a article says, vote for Measure R to restore integrity. Now, I'd like to encourage all of you, everybody in this room, to vote on November 7th election, next Tuesday. It seems like a very important election. It's the largest ballot and most complex that I've ever seen since I've been voting since 1948. My dear deceased mother, Wilhelmina Scarf, was a well-recognized, honored League of Women Voters lady in Los Angeles and Sacramento in the 1970s through 1995. She encouraged people, along with the League of Women, to have informed voting. My maternal grandparents in the early 1900s managed the Washington, D.C. headquarters of the women's suffrage movement. Okay, as we've seen many documentaries about that, these women took a lot of abuse to get the right to vote. And as you know, many countries do not permit people to vote. So let's not take it for granted.
Appreciate that.
And hope to see you at the polls. Thank you.
Thank you for that message. It's a very important reminder for all of us on Tuesday for Election Day. Thank you so much. And a little trivia that Tuesday is Election Day because it was Women's Wash Day, which is why ties two things you just talked about together, which is why it was chosen instead of the weekend. But interesting little piece of history. That closes our public comment for today. If we can go to the first item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, Mr. President, is item number 7, and that was called special for a card from the public.
Okay. Joe Brown, also known as Mr. Michael Hunt.
Very good. Very good. Now that's respect. What are we talking about here? Whatever it is, just vote yes on it. I'm just so impressed that you called the right name. Just give me
All right.
12 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Let's open the roll on the item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, that is approved.
And, Mr. President, that is an ordinance, so it goes over next.
That will be
to
for second
November
reading next
14th.
week, indeed. but we've had the public hearing on that now. Next item, please.
Next item is item number 9, that was called special by Councilmember Zine. There are 2 reports on the file, and I believe there are cards also.
There are 2 reports. There's also 2 cards. If you want to take those, let me know, or if you want to speak first, go ahead.
What I'd like to do, move adoption of the Budget and Finance and Personnel Committee report on item number 9, and that should resolve the matter, and the ordinance would have the ordinance would then contain all the requirements and regulations that we want. But there was a conflict with the Public Works report, but if we look at the Budget and Finance and the Personnel reports, that contains all the issues and the fees, et cetera. So we would request that those 2 be approved.
All right, sounds good. Michael De La Torre, if you'd like to come forward, and then we'll go back to the speaker queue.
Good morning, Council President Garcetti and council members. I'd like to take this opportunity to address the council on this very important issue with respect to SoCal Gas Company. But let me first of all take the opportunity to thank Councilmember Gruhl and her staff, specifically Chris Olson, for their hard work, due diligence, and throughout the last year and a half or so. The gas company appreciates the opportunity to be able to provide input on the proposed ordinance. However, the gas company has expressed in the committee meetings, and SoCal Gas believes that it is in a unique position with the city because we have a long-term relationship through our franchise contract with the city. And last year, for example, we paid over $26 million to the city of LA through our franchise. It's on that basis that we basically have explored and continue to explore and insist that the gas company should be exempt from the franchise permit fee. The gas company presented its concerns in the Budget and Finance Committee, specifically relative to the franchise agreement with the City of LA, as well as in the Public Works Committee. The gas company was instructed to contact the city attorney directly, which our legal department did, and to date has received no response. I would briefly like to summarize just a couple of key areas with respect to the franchise where we basically feel that this is an enforcement ordinance and therefore is in direct conflict with the existing franchise. The proposed enforcement program fees are not permit processing and inspection fees and are not limited to the city's actual cost in processing SoCal Gas's street cut excavation permits, inspecting SoCal Gas franchise work. These contemplated program fees are intended to cover the entire program cost. Specifically, the city wants to cover its program costs for everything on this program, including all other contractors doing work in the streets. The enforcement program fees are outside of the scope of what the city and SoCal Gas agreed upon in the franchise agreement. Therefore, if the city were to impose these program fees, it would be a material change to the compensation that SoCal Gas must pay in order to conduct its business within the city of LA.
Thank you, Mr. De La Torre. If I can ask you to wrap up.
Okay. Let me just basically say that we appreciate the opportunity, and what we're asking essentially is for the council to instruct the city attorney to provide a response to our written communication to them as we were instructed to in committee, and ask them to please have the opportunity, take the opportunity to sit down with us, and so we can work this out. We are basically corporate citizens, been around over 100 years, and we are amenable to adhering to the ordinance, but it's the franchise language and the conflict that the proposed ordinance has.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morrison, I think it's Matt Dowd.
Thank you. Check, 2, 1, 2. Hello. Yeah, Jim Morrison here on this issue. And I'd love the city attorney to point out that there is no need for a cross-examination on the identity of the speaker.
Sir, can you please keep your comments to item number 9 that is before us? Thank you.
Certainly, Mr. President. Okay, this one, it's all about making people get permits to do construction and block city streets. I just want to point out that it's like $250 for one of these permits. About time you're getting the money out of the people who have got it, the construction people. Stop trying to take it off the people at Venice Beach. Thank you.
I close our public comment. Ms. Gruhl is our next speaker. Mr. Zine, did you want to wrap up before?
I just wanted to, Monday, commend you trying to move traffic, and that's what this is about, is moving traffic and the construction issue. I don't have any problem with the city attorney getting back to the gas company on their request, and I think that we should request that the city attorney do respond to the letter submitted by the Southern California Gas Company. They are a good corporate representative, and they provide a vital service to the people of Los Angeles. I see no problem moving forward with the Budget and Finance Personnel Committee reports. At the same time, direct the city attorney to respond, which is appropriate to their request that they've asked.
Okay.
So that would be my request.
Okay.
And then
There's no objection. That'll be
move forward.
accepted as a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Zine. This is a item that is specifically related to stopping road construction during rush hour. And many of you may know after the mayor was first elected, we had worked with him. He introduced an executive directive that was specifically for our city crews. What you have before us today is an item that looks at anyone who is not a city crew. There's nothing more frustrating, and I've experienced, and I've called, Public Works when I see it, which is someone is doing road construction at 8:30 in the morning in an area blocked 2 lanes, even when their permit says they cannot start until 9 o'clock. And what we wanted to do was put some teeth into this ordinance. And so it has been a long process, longer than I think any of us would have liked to have seen, but it is one in which I believe is going to make a big difference in the city, because it's not only going to be us identifying those particular sites and them being not only required to get a permit, but there are fines associated with it. We will also roll out a whole public information campaign, and there will be 311 operators that will be prepared to take the calls. So when you're driving down a street and you see road construction that does not say emergency repair or a long-term project, you will be able to be part of the solution by calling and saying, I'm driving down this road, I want to be able to call and say they're breaking the law. Many, and I want to thank all of the utilities and all the people who've been involved with this. I appreciate it, Michael, because this has been a team effort. They've given us a lot of positive feedback, corrective feedback on how to design this ordinance. And so it's really, I think, very important. What I would like to do, if we have some of the staff that are here today from the department, see any of them come forward? I know you're here. Come back. Thank you. I just would like to, if we could, have a moment so people understand what it is we're doing and ask a few questions. And I agree with Michael and Mr. Zine. We want to make sure from the City Attorney's Office, we did ask that they provide some written documentation, legal rationale for applying this particular ordinance to the private utilities. And so we will ask again, as we did in committee, for that response. So I'm not sure which one of you would like to start, just to give a brief overview.
Good morning, Councilman. My name is Russ Strazella. I'm a division chief for the Bureau of Contract Administration, Department of Public Works. It has been my privilege to participate in this task force, which has included a partnership between several city departments and bureaus, as well as our utility partners in the private industry. The overview that Councilwoman Gruhl asked for is basically, I'll try not to belabor you too long with this, but the program is going to consist of badged inspectors from the Bureau of Contract Administration in concert with the existing street service investigators from the Bureau of Street Services, both Department of Public Works bureaus, working with the Department of Transportation, particularly the communications and traffic control divisions. And we will be patrolling the public right-of-way with specific assigned badged inspectors during the peak hours, which start from 6 in the morning to 9 under the ordinance, and from 3:30 to 7 in the afternoon. These individuals who are described, and their equipment and everything else described in our budget request, will be solely assigned to respond to the types of inquiries that Councilwoman Gruhl has mentioned will be coming in primarily, we hope, through the 311 system. We have established some protocols which we'll be continuing to work on development, provided this ordinance is passed. They are in operations manual, which is attached to the report from the CAO. The communication, it will be internal on an 800 megahertz radio system. Also, we're setting up a real-time messaging system, which will be web-based, so that we can communicate with the DOT Communication Center. And we will have a data tracking system that the Bureau of Contract Administration will host because of our existing contractor performance database, which is the city's centralized database on contractor performance, which will be able to track these administrative citations which are written and give these reports to the board, the council that have been referred to in the CAO's report, first one due 6 months, so that you'll be able to track the costs and the revenue gained from the program should there be a significant number of violations. The Department of Transportation will act as the hearing adjudication officer or section of the program, and they will be the final word on the citations written should someone appeal. We're excited about the program. As Councilwoman Gruhl has referred, our inspectors have been the people who have watched over your streets as best they can for many years. We take a great deal of pride in our work and our ability to get a job done and to enforce the compliance for construction standards and traffic control. Nothing really, as Councilwoman Gruhl has referred to, there has always been a restriction between starting before 9 o'clock in the morning in the public right-of-way. That's never permitted unless by special permission from the city engineer in concert with the Department of Transportation. However, there are a number of instances chronically where independent contractors will see fit to violate that condition of their permit. And arbitrarily go out and start when they please. Consequently, we never hear about it because they don't tell us. That means they're out there clogging your traffic lanes without our supervision or ability to control it. This program, if funded and this ordinance is passed, will give your city servants the ability to go out there and make sure that the folks who are causing this gridlock know that the city and the taxpayers are serious about the business of their streets and also about the quality of work that goes on in them. We would be happy to answer any questions. I would like to take a moment to thank, in particular, Mr. Fujioka's analyst, Burl Taylor, who helped us quite a bit on the report. She did a wonderful job. I keep spitting into this, excuse me. Wow.
It's okay. You don't have to get too close to them. They pick you up from far away. Don't worry.
This okay?
Yes, that's
Okay.
great. Don't worry.
Stage fright.
You're doing great.
At any rate, I'd like to thank Burl Taylor and everybody in the task force, too numerous to name, but their names are mentioned in the operations manual on the first page, and particularly Councilman Gruhl's office. And of course, Councilman Gruhl for tremendous support and faith in us, and we hope to go out there and start doing a job for you pretty soon. And we'll answer any questions that you have in detail.
Great. And I know there's again, emergency work. You have a definition kind of what emergency work is, which allows during that time. Could you just describe that for
Yes,
a moment?
ma'am. Emergency work is defined specifically in the ordinance, and that language was crafted by the task force with the advice and consultation of the city attorney's office. Emergency work, if I may kind of caricaturize it to spare some words, an emergency that a utility may have, and they do come up where the most important thing is to protect life and property of the citizenry and to restore the public right-of-way and the utility to active service. These are legitimate concerns that the utilities have, and if a utility has to react to an emergency incident, as we describe it in NIMS and SEMS, which is Standard Emergency Management System, if they have to respond to an incident in the right-of-way immediately, they have to dispatch crews and mitigate the circumstance. For instance, if the Southern California Gas Company calls up the DOT Communications Center, and they will be required to, and say, our pipe blew up over at the corner, and we're fixing it right now, This is a way for them to be able to dispatch crews to the area and to do emergency work that is absolutely necessary to protect life and property without our inspectors walking up to their crews and saying, where's your permit? Why didn't you call us? This and that. They will have notified us that this is emergency work that has to be done right away. And the utilities have always been required to go ahead and do the administrative thing of pulling the permit within 48 hours afterwards. But the emergency notification system is different than what the 311 system is. That is for our citizenry, and the utilities have been, we're putting a system together so that it's just for them, so that they can let us know when they do have an emergency.
And just one other thing, there is a penalty structure. Again, our concept is not to collect this money. It really is to just make sure they're not doing it again, and it is everything from construction crews, you name it, that are going to be on the streets that we want to stop them from doing that. Contractors, I had one that was a contractor with the county that suddenly, just did that, thought they wanted to get an early start. Each time you get a penalty, correct? Does it go up each time
yes, ma'am.
exponentially?
Yes, ma'am. The penalty system is, as Councilwoman Grill describes, it is a deterrent. What we want to do is see to it that those violators, like any other law, if you violate the law, there must be some consequences. The citation system starts at $250 per violation on a citation. There can be different violations, more than one violation on a citation. The first citation in a 12-month period will be $250 per violation. If the firm or its crews violate again within a 12-month period, it goes to $500 per violation on the second citation. The third citation within a 12-month period is $750 per violation on that incident. And the fourth is, that makes it criminal then, and then we remand that to the Bureau of Street Services post-certified folks, and they take that forward as a misdemeanor and they take it to court.
Great, thank you. And I wanted to have that outlined because it is very important. We take this very seriously in the city about obeying the law. And so this gives us an opportunity with this rush hour construction ban and the forces to go out and actually enforce it and not just have it on the permit. And that's why it's taken us a little time to do it, because it's been very complicated in getting all the departments and all the utilities, everyone together to say this is going to be our new process. And so we will again be doing somewhat of a public announcement at a point in time when we're ready to begin that enforcement and to take those phone calls, which we hopefully will occur fairly soon.
Yes, ma'am.
I do know that I think the departments are going to have some kind of orientation for utilities, all cable companies, you name it. You're able to do that, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We're planning a pretty elaborate outreach effort. We don't have details right now, but we really want to make sure that the utilities, and we've given the strong signal to all our partners in the utilities that we intend for this to be a partnership, and we don't want anybody to get hit in the back with something that they don't know about. We'll make every effort to exercise every bit of due care to make sure everybody knows all the rules and to know that we're out there to help and not hinder. But our first obligation is to the taxpayers.
Great. Thank you, and thank you all. I don't know if you want to add anything before or just be there for questions, but colleagues, no matter what we do, traffic is probably one of the most important issues, and whether it was yesterday, Tony Cardenas and I with the mayor stood out about synchronization of lights or left-hand turn signals or anti-gridlock zones. Every bit is going to help us deal with the traffic issue and dealing with planning, but this is something that we can do with a law that was already on the books but was not enforced, and this gives us the tools to do it. And so I just want to thank all the departments, CAO, CLA, everyone, contract admin, street services. It's really been a team approach. Many meetings to get it ironed out. But I think what we have is something that is workable, is going to affect people's commute times all over the city of Los Angeles, and really, I think, is a model. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, and thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Zine, for letting me go on a bit. But this is, I think, a very, very important issue in our city. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Councilmember Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. It might be for you, Wendy, this question, but maybe for DOT, for our city. you know, in our district, like for instance, the different streets in my district, some are owned by the state, you know, some are dealt with by Caltrans, others by MTA, others by DOT. So when we see construction, it isn't the city of LA necessarily that's causing the gridlock in our issue. What coordination are we doing with Caltrans and MTA?
I would want to defer the meat of a reply to the city attorney, but it is my immediate reaction to let you know, sir, that staff does not right now consider anybody, any entity exempt from the ordinance and its provisions. There are provisions in the ordinance that any legitimate request for a lane closure can be submitted and reviewed by the city engineer. But I'm not aware of any exemption that we are going to be offering at this time.
So does that mean like if a Caltrans on my Lincoln Boulevard puts barriers out and shrinks the street and creates greater gridlock, we can do something about that?
If it is a city-owned street, sir.
What if it isn't a city-owned street? Lincoln is a state street.
I would say, again, my unqualified opinion, but I would say possibly we would have not we may not have the jurisdiction over that legally, but I would sure like to explore that for you.
Could we explore that? Because
Yes, sir.
looking at that, because when my constituents hear what you said, which was music to our ears, and we appreciate Wendy Gruhl's leadership, that from 6 to 9 in the morning they wouldn't be doing the construction, and from 3:30 to 7, your phones will ring off the hook.
Yes, sir.
Because we're in that kind of a gridlock. Could we officially ask you to come back once we pass this to see what coordination we can get out of MTA and Caltrans?
That would be our pleasure, sir. Yes, sir. There are streets such as Lincoln and also in the valley, Topanga Canyon, where we have jurisdictional problems that can cause problems. So we'd be glad to look at it and form a partnership with those agencies and see if we can get some cooperation.
Thank you, because I can tell you last night it took me an hour to just go about 7 miles in my district. It was really quite a scene. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you. What would it take for the departments involved to compile the activities, say, on an annual basis, and report to the council on how many emergency permits were given, and/or, in addition to that, to report how many violations have accumulated in a given 12-month period?
That mechanism is built into the operations manual, sir. First of all, the CAO's report mentions that we will be giving you an initial 6-month report. Here I go again, excuse me, sorry about that. Our contractor performance database, which was something that was developed under the direction of City Council ordinance several years ago at BCA, is going to track the number of administrative citations issued by both street services and our inspectors. We will be able to produce through our system, which is known as Oracle database, push-button reports, and it is our intention to be able to provide that information not only on a formal basis but at request. So if a council district wants to find out about the data in their area. As far as permits, we work very closely with our sister agency, the Bureau of Engineering. Their platform for database collection on permits is actually what we used to give the calculations for the budget requests and everything like that. So we've got a lot of very good data as far as permits issued and revenue collected and all that.
Okay. What I'd like to see in this, Ms. Gruhl, is possibly if we could make that formally part of the motion to make sure that we at least, it could be more frequent, but at least an annual report of those 2 items to the City Council. Obviously, the council will refer it to the respective committees and then to the floor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you. I just wanted to clear up your recommendation in terms of getting a response back from the City Attorney's Office. If we act on this today, what are we doing to ensure that the City Attorney's Office responds to the Speaker?
Mr. City Attorney.
It would be in the form of a report back motion, and I already sent an email to the assigned Public Works attorneys. They're not available today, but they could get on this as early as next week.
Okay. And after this action, what opportunities do the speakers have to reply or have some say in as this goes forward?
Well, it depends on what the action is today. If the council approves the ordinance. Actually, it would have to go on second reading on the 14th.
On the 14th?
Or council could reconsider it on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Grue.
And again, the city attorney's office, I know not you, Dion, but we have asked for this in writing. They verbally said that they felt it was appropriate to have them included, but we're working through that. We want to be able to move this forward. It is a cost-neutral program for the city. I want to make that very clear. It is a cost-neutral. And to respond, I think, to Mr. Rosendahl, I was asked my staff, had that ever been asked? And no. My gut is that even though it is a state highway, that they still have to get some permits from the city to do their work. But we'll work with them as far as that, because if they have to block a lane, I believe they have to get approval from the city to block a lane. But you're right. I mean, that's been the problem all along, is people coming in saying, just doing what they think is right without having the kind of approvals that we do. So good questions today, and you're a prime example of why we're doing this, because it does cause problems in the districts.
Mr. Rosendahl.
And you know, that's why I was really pleased you brought everybody up to give the public an appreciation, frankly, of what we're doing. But I had to call Caltrans myself and convince them to take these barriers down on Lincoln that had caused such gridlock, and nobody knew. They thought it was the city of LA. It wasn't. It was Caltrans. So obviously the coordination between Caltrans, MTA, and DOT is paramount for the success of your motion, which I think is absolutely right leadership for all of us.
And I think, just to close, the most important thing, whether it is a abandoned car, it is someone who's doing construction, it is someone who has left a couch on the corner, we need the public's help in doing this, because we don't have enough inspectors, even with the fees that we are charging to pay for that, and we will need the public's help. And so as we go through that major education effort, it's going to take not only Mr. Rosendahl, who calls himself, but our public who are driving down some of those streets. Instead of waiting for someone else to call, it's for them to pick up the phone and say, this is happening before 9 o'clock on a day. So thank you for your assistance there, Mr. Rosendahl.
You want to remind our viewers the number to call?
It is 311, one call to City Hall, whether it be on your cell phone or from a landline. We encourage you on a number of issues, but even particularly on this. Be a little patient. This is a new program, so if we're again beginning the education process. So this is the first step in approving it. I know it will go into, has a second reading and will go into effect 30 days, I believe, following the mayor's signature of that. And so during that period of time, we will be doing our major education effort throughout the city. Thank you, Mr. Zine.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, you have Mr. Cardenas on the queue.
Oh, he just came up.
I just wanted to compliment what Wendy just said. It's important for people when you see construction during the day in the city of Los Angeles. Again, it might be a street that you think belongs to the city of Los Angeles, but it doesn't, which means that we cannot dictate to the state or the county or someone else if it's their street. Secondly, it's an opportunity for you to be informed officially about what that activity is about. We have a responsibility. You have a right to know. So calling 311 and getting that information, we're more than happy to get that to you. The reason why I wanted to point this out is because I had a lot of constituents tell me when they read the press, when the first motion was passed, oh, good, all construction during the day in the city of Los Angeles is just going to disappear. That's not the case. That's not the case. But the fact of the matter is we do have an efficient 311 system. We can and will communicate with you. If for some reason you don't get proper communication, that's what council offices are for, to make sure that we double check and double back with you to make sure that you get the respect and the response that you deserve. Be it a company, an individual, whether you're driving on the street or walking on the street, or you watch outside your window and see it happening. I just wanted to make sure that people understand is we're going to have a lot less construction during the day, much less, but it's not going to disappear completely. Right. So please inform yourself, utilize our services to inform you about what's going on and whether or not it should go on. And maybe you get lucky and you actually are the one to blow the whistle, and we find out that they're in violation. They're going to have to pick up stakes and then do it by the law. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. When in doubt, call 311.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
There were several friendly amendments, and then to be included, and then council can just adopt that as amended.
Well, open the roll.
Close the roll.
Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That's the ordinance with the amendments. Thank you.
And, Mr. President, the ordinance will go over until November 14th.
So we'll have 12 members minimum at that time. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Next item, please.
Next item is item number 12, and that was called special by Councilmember Cardenas.
Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you. This is relative to the Housing and Community and Economic Development Committee report. And is anybody here from Housing to speak on this potential bond sale that we're authorizing?
Good morning. I'm Michael Miller from the Community Redevelopment Agency.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask you some questions. Some of them might seem a little mundane to you, but maybe for the viewers they won't. With all of the speak of the word bond and bonds going on in the millions and billions of dollars on people's minds right now, I just wanted to help people clarify a couple things about these particular bonds. We're talking about potentially a bond sale of $37 million, give or take, depending on what activity ensues after this motion. But the thing is does this affect, would this raise people's property taxes? Would this be something that the city is obligated to back and to pay, or to be involved in the legal situation should somebody default, or is this something that belongs to someone else's responsibility besides the public?
No, this is a conduit bond issuance, which means that the city is basically facilitating this mixed-use program. And the reason that we've become involved is because the primary drive, I think, is that there's quite a bit of affordable housing. There's 449 units involved with this. 20% are set aside for affordable housing, and this is families with very low income that's at no higher than 50% of the area median income. So about 89, 90 units will be set aside for this purpose. The repayment does not come from the city. There's no full faith and credit or anything of that sort.
There's no assessment of people's property taxes around the corner down the street?
No property taxes, no other revenue, no revenues from the city are involved in this. This comes from the rents from the affordable,
So this deals with the property owner, this one property owner, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Yes. And then also, I just wanted to make sure that this has no effect on the general fund of the City of Los Angeles at all?
No, it has not.
No way, no how?
That's right.
The City of Los Angeles isn't named in the big packet of information saying, should someone default or something go wrong or the payment's not made or what have you, that all of a sudden, that the city will be required to back it up?
No, the city has no financial responsibility in the event of default or anything of that sort.
So the formal process that we're discussing right now has to do with the city helping to facilitate or helping to do the paperwork in the beginning of the process, and then after that, it belongs to the owner, and then they will handle it from there.
Basically so. The city is involved, as with any tax-exempt bond, it has to be, there has to be a finding that there is a finding of benefit, which in this case is the affordable housing, and that's required for these to be tax-exempt bonds. In addition, in terms of, in the event of default, even though we're facilitating as a conduit, in the event, this is a variable rate bond, so there's the actual money is backed by a letter of credit, which means that that's the ultimate credit in the event that the developer can't pay. So this is a very solid project.
Okay. Also, I'm looking at this here, and it says that they've, in this document, we're going to be putting forth Kunak Rock as bond counsel, and also Capmark Securities, Inc., and Samuel A. Ramirez to serve as bond underwriters. Does this make this a negotiated or a competitive process?
This is a negotiated underwriting.
Okay. So now these names came out of a syndicate list or a pre-approved list of qualified organizations that actually know how to do this work?
That is correct.
Okay. And this list is a CRA list or a housing list?
This is a CRA list. In fact, it is based on RFP 2004-05, I believe, is the reference number for that.
So technically speaking, there was competition in order to be able to be picked to do this business, correct?
That's correct. Originally, we went out for RFP, and we assembled a pool of underwriters that are qualified, a pool of bond attorneys that are qualified to do the bond work and the opinions, therefore. And for this particular project, Newman and Associates had been the underwriter and remarketing agent, pardon me, on the previous bonds outstanding. They were brought in to do this one to maintain the integrity, so the bonds would be issued on par. And we were able to keep the original finance team together, which included Samuel Ramirez and company as a co-managing underwriter. We went out for RFP, pardon me, for bond counsel, and as it worked out, QTAC Rock was able to come in with the lowest bid and with the recommendation of the city attorney's office. In doing that RFP, we went out to several MBE, WBE firms, and QTAC ended up being the lowest bid on that one.
Okay, but the overall writing feature is these are all capable, qualified,
absolutely,
tried and true companies. These are not corporations or organizations that are being handed this work because we like them. They're handed this work because they've gone through the scrutiny and the competition of being on the list. Now they're being picked to do the work.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the item, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, council has cards on items 17 through 21, and they all are city engineer reports on inclusions to the Walk of Fame. Do you wish to take those all together?
Yes.
Okay, and then that would be 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 before council.
Bring them forward. On item number 17, Zumadog. John Walsh.
If you want to know why Councilman President Garcetti wasn't up here, he was talking to me. And we're friendly rivals. I think it's an excellent idea. I don't know how many people here know about Ruta Lee. She was an actress in the 60s and 70s. And I live on Hollywood Boulevard, near Hollywood Boulevard. Hollywood PAC has been a watchdog on this Hollywood Walk of Fame for about 20 years. And Miss Lee is involved in a lot of charitable events. And the most important thing about Miss Lee is the gender imbalance. You know, there is a gender imbalance on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And you can see here, 2 out of 3 of them are men. But don't get me wrong. The gender imbalance here on the city council is out of control. When I showed up here a quarter of a century ago, there were 3 women on here. Since then, the whole world has changed. No, not the city council. Still 3 women on the city council. It's really an all-male club. And, you know, Mr. Weezer doesn't care. It doesn't matter. And I'd like to point out that her star, Miss Lee, will be right next to a stop from the Holly Trolley. You know, the Holly Trolley cost $1 million on Hollywood Boulevard. It was begun in January, and I got news for you. It was quietly canceled at a loss of $1 million on Hollywood Boulevard next to the Hollywood Walk of Fame 3 weeks ago. I talked to the LA Times. The LA Times says, Jim Newton at the LA Times has a rule. No negative stories about Mr. Garcetti, while the Tribune is negotiating on the KTLA property with the CRA and the MTA. So I just want you to know, if you're in Hollywood, you get an extra level of immunity from the media, $1 million. Now, I would like to point out that the Hollywood Historic, I will finish now because I always finish on time. I'm a 2-minute man.
Mr. 2-minute man, we're going to give you 18 and 21 also. So you want to continue. We're going to give you a minute on each one, so you have 2 minutes for item 18 and item 21.
Mr. Zine, as I said, we would like to have a tour of the City Council just before the debate that will be occurring with the city council members on Prop R on election eve, which will be Monday in Hollywood. I would expect that everybody will either answer whether they're coming or not. I know that
Mr. President, he appears to be off topic.
I would
You're
like-
on 18 and 21, Mr. Welch.
Okay, well, let me point out that the security cameras on Hollywood Boulevard, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, shows that the #1 crime in Hollywood, and I've talked to the security company, is public urination. They are urinating on the stars. In fact, the stars are in horrible condition. The Star Trust has not done it. Now, I want everybody here to go to the Willard Waterman, the Great Gildersleeve. Labange disappeared. Great Gildersleeve star on Vine Street, south of Hollywood Boulevard, and you'll see that 1/3 of it is there. We at the Hollywood PAC did an informal audit, and we came up with $1,750,000 worth of repairs. Now, the city doesn't do a bad job of cleaning it. It's the Hollywood Historic Trust.
Mr. President, he still
that does
appears to be off
terrible
topic.
job. I'm talking
Mr.
about
Walsh.
Miss Lee and Mr. Miller's star, and the 3 stars are going up there. The 3 stars, Tim McGraw. I want to know why and how they will be repaired when they're destroyed. Why we have filthy stars on Hollywood Boulevard. This is not concerning the subject. I'm not talking about chopped liver. The fact is that I'm not even accusing you. It's the Historic Trust. You are allowing Johnny Grants. It is a joke. Members of the tourists come there and look at the filthy stars, the cracked stars from the construction of the subway, the MTA cracked stars, and now you're putting on 3 more, and it is an insult to Mr. Miller and Miss Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
And Mr. McGraw.
Your time's up. Thank you, sir.
You don't fix them.
Ross Angus, on item number 17.
Thank you very much. My name is Ross Angeles here, and I just want to know if I can get a star on the Walk of Fame. That's it. If you guys say yes, I'll leave City Council forever. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
20,000.
Next, Simple Simon, item 18.
Okay, thank you. I just want to comment on these Hollywood Walk of Fame. I'm looking to get my Channel 35 Hollywood, public. What I got to do is find the 15,000 somewhere to be nominated, and then I think I got to find a whole heap more money to pay the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce for the special consideration that it probably requires to get on the short list. But believe me, the city is not paying for these. They're all bought and paid for if you've got the money.
Thank you, Mr. Colby.
Okay, that's how they have an orderly process of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a pleasure to comment under your watch. Jerry Buss. See, everybody knows who he is in this town and possibly a lot of sports fans. But when I look at the names going on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Tim McGraw, Bruce Willis, if you walked up to anybody the world over, they know who these people are. They're real stars. He's a businessman, and he's done great work, I'm sure, but I want to point out that you can buy a star on Hollywood, people. Jerry did.
Thank you. Item number 22, Sharon Brewer, please. I'm sorry, Sharon. We're still on 17? We were 17 to 21. And we're done with those. So open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you.
And, Mr. President, the next items with cards 22, 23, and 24 are all track maps.
All right, number 22, Sharon Brewer, please.
Yeah, I had cards too on number 20, Mr. President.
Hi, my name is Sharon Brewer. My basic comment is the wording for the item where it says property lying westerly of Tampa Avenue and northerly of Wyandotte Strait. I think that, according to the Brown Act, that the description should be more specific. You don't even know what street this property is on and that an address should be on there for people to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just for the record, the trap map number is 62164. That's specific enough.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Number 22. Open the roll. Close the roll.
Mr. President, did you want to take 22, 23, and 24 all together?
Yes.
I believe they all had cards on them.
Yes. 22, 23, 24. Mr. Zuma Dogwood, he's not here. Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson? It's difficult to understand these names that are fictitious.
It's pretty straightforward. It's Action Jackson on the record talking about the Bruce Willis star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I saw the council president, Mr. Garcetti, on TV with this one.
He's off
We're already
topic on
beyond
this.
that one, sir. That's already been voted on.
Well,
It's already voted on. If you're on the track map, the current item, if not, then you're concluded.
Mr. President, you called Action Jackson. That's item number 20 on the card.
We're already past that,
Well,
sir.
you better reopen the...
We're not going to reopen it, sir. We're already past it. So do you want to talk about the current item? If not, we're going to go on to
Yeah,
the
I
next
want
matter.
to talk about the current item.
Thank you.
then. Absolutely. Okay. This track map, you should bring out a movie with Bruce Willis and Eric Garcetti and call it Lie Hard.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Today I'm Prince Zine on this card. Princess Zine or Princess, doesn't matter. Gosh, the track maps. Just let's see what I say about the track maps. Just give it all I votes and let's go home and have lunch.
Thank you.
And you guys all take me out to lunch. Can I
Thank
get
you. Open the roll on those items. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Posted and referred.
The excuse on the desk, Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused Wednesday, November 22nd. For personal business, a motion is required.
Mr. Weston approves.
And that clears the desk, Mr. President.
Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. I want to make an important announcement. It has been scheduled, the Ad hoc Committee on Gang Violence and Youth Development. A special meeting will be heard immediately upon adjournment here in these chambers. We'll give a few minutes for the staff or everyone to rearrange, and then we'll immediately start the meeting, which has three agenda items on it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Announcements? Well, let's go around here. Mr. Jose Huizar.
Gladly go after our council president if he wants to go.
He's taking the last seat now.
I'm happy to announce that along with Councilmember Alex Padilla and the American Diabetes Association, this Sunday, November 5th, be at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., we have a it's called Unidos contra la Diabetes Health Fair at Centro del Pueblo in downtown Los Angeles. It's free to the public. People can get free screenings for diabetes, blood pressure, flu vaccine, for people with diabetes, cholesterol checks, vision checks, and they could also participate in educational seminars on living with diabetes, nutrition and exercise, and diabetes complications, and there will also be diabetes entertainment. And we all know how we need to address the diabetes epidemic in our country, and I ask those who are interested to attend. I'm also proud to announce that tonight is the legendary East LA Classic, the largest high school football game in the country. We used to say this side of the Mississippi, but I think now all over the country, between the Roosevelt Rough Riders and the Garfield Bulldogs. The game annually draws over 20,000 fans to the Weingart Stadium at East LA College. The freshman game begins at 4 p.m. and the varsity game starts at 7 p.m. I will also be announcing the scholarship recipients for 4 college-bound students, two from each school. Laura Juarez from Garfield High School, Jose Morales from Garfield High School, Jennifer Guerra from Roosevelt High School, and Javier Arevalo from Roosevelt High School. I'm rooting for Roosevelt. My brothers and sisters went to Roosevelt. And also, Roosevelt is in the city of LA. Garfield is an unincorporated part of Los Angeles. It also gives me great pleasure to announce the grand opening of the new Pecan Park Gymnasium that will take place on Wednesday, November 8th at 5 p.m. The gym is located at 127 South Pecan Street in Boyle Heights. This gymnasium has been long awaited by the local residents. The community of Boyle Heights is invited to attend the event as we open up the new gymnasium for our youth in the area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Mr. Zine, just want to remind everybody that this upcoming Tuesday is Election Day. Please get out and vote, and we'll have another reminder during the council meeting on Tuesday. And if you have any polling place information or other questions about the election, I'm sure our city clerk and our county registrar recorder would be happy to answer.
And we all wish you luck, Mr. Padilla. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple announcements. The LA Urban League, who's been hosting a number of financial seminars, will have their last seminar Monday, November the 6th, at the Better Living Wellness Center, 3425 West Manchester, and it's between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Also announced that opening of a banking institution in the 8th District, the Co-America Bank, and its manager, Keith Truitt, announces their grand opening, which will be Thursday, November the 9th at 5 p.m. to 7, and that's at 3825 Crenshaw Boulevard. And then also for those that voting on the 7th, just as information to the public, that you can go on the web, www.lavote.net/locator, to find your polling place by residence. And for the 8th District, there's over 280 polling locations in the 8th District. For any additional information, 1-800-815-2666 for polling locations.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes. Announcements, Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. You know, Nancy Daly Reardon was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in May. Instead of sitting back and feeling sorry, she's been out there in a public way making people aware of pancreatic cancer. And this Saturday night, an Evening with the Stars Goes Hollywood at the Grand Ballroom at the Hollywood and Highlands Center, she's going to be honored with the Emily Corey Public Service Award. And many of my colleagues around this horseshoe will also be there, and we're also going to give her the LA Guardian Angel Award for being a guardian angel of this great city. I want to thank Nancy Daly Reardon for her continued leadership, and now with a very personal situation, actually providing more energy and raising money for the cause. God bless Nancy Daly Reardon.
Very good, thank you. Any other announcements, Mr. Garcetti?
Thank you, and all of us are very proud of Nancy, and we'll celebrate with you there, some in person and some in spirit. We, two things. One, the American Film Institute continues throughout Hollywood, both at the ArcLight Cinemas and opening night over at the Grauman's Chinese, highlighted Bobby, a film which I mentioned before, chronicles the night that Bobby Kennedy was assassinated here in Los Angeles, and it has some incredible Los Angeles themes, an incredible cast of folks, but really highlights what Los Angeles was going through in those days and what the country was going through in those days with war and civil rights and a number of different things. But the American Film Institute, which continues to have an incredible film festival, will continue that for the next few days, and some great things to take in at the ArcLight Cinema. Secondly, the city clerk has asked me, colleagues, to remind folks that the candidate filing for 2007 municipal election starts this coming Monday, November 6th. It runs through November 11th, so from the 6th to 11th. And candidate filing takes place at the city clerk's election division office in room 285 at City Hall. Again, that's candidate filing for the 2007 municipal elections.
Thank you. Any other announcements? I'd like to announce that Dia de los Muertos on Sherman Way in Canoga Park, All-American City, Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. along Sherman Way in Owens Mouth through Canoga. It will be closed for Dia de los Muertos. Everyone's invited to Dia de los Muertos in Canoga Park, All-American City, this coming Sunday. Adjourning motions. Everyone please stand. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And colleagues, it's with great sadness that I ask today that we adjourn in the memory of Lisa Michelle Martinez, the daughter of my field deputy, Juanita Martinez, and a wonderful young woman who died far too young on October 28, 2006, at the age of 44. Through her 20 years of being clean, Lisa helped hundreds of people by giving of herself to many organizations and individuals. She reached people from all walks of life who were struggling with themselves and had a special feeling for teenagers. She led countless meetings and counseling sessions, and her motto was, "One day at a time." Lisa's kindness to others came as no surprise. She came from a family legacy of helping others. Lisa's mother, Juanita, has been a city employee for many years. She has worked for former council members Richard Alatorre, Nick Pacheco, and Antonio Villaraigosa. Lisa lived in the city of Los Angeles her entire life and is survived by her mother, Juanita, her father, Ralph Martinez, sister, Carmen Casey, brother, Ralph Martinez, and a good friend of mine, Rudy Martinez. She also leaves behind loving aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces, godchildren, and countless friends. She will be greatly missed by all of us. And secondly, council members, I also, with a heavy heart today, ask that we adjourn in the honor of Rafael Resendes, a 17-year-old Salesian High School student who left this world far, far too young as well on October 31st at 8:39 a.m. Salesian High School is my alma mater, and this past week we had a service in his memory at our high school. Salesian High School had played the role of an extended family for many of the youngsters who have attended the school, and is someone who we now will miss deeply. Rafael collapsed in the weight room due to unknown causes and later passed away at White Memorial Hospital. His funeral was on Wednesday. Rafael played varsity football at Salesian as a receiver and defensive back. He was also a member of the wrestling and volleyball teams. He was a junior leader at Kairos 3, a retreat for young Catholic boys. In his senior biography for the 2008 yearbook, Rafael wrote that his favorite memory at Salesian High School was often being the last to leave campus each day. He stated that he stayed late just to be sure that all his brother Mustangs made it home safely each night. Rafael is survived by his mother, his father, two older brothers, both who graduated from Salesian High School, and the Salesian Mustang family. His loss was a tragedy, and he will be greatly missed.
Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, I have four adjourning motions today. First one is father of Pastor Frederick Murph, Bishop Henry Murph, died at the age of 95. Many of us remember that he was the pastor of Grant AME during the Watts riot. In fact, was a calming influence on the community. He served 18 years as the pastor of Grant AME and later became one of the longest serving bishops in the AME church. He basically has been a part of the LA fabric since 1950. His services will be held tomorrow at Grant AME Church, today at Grant AME Church at 10 a.m. But he's this father of Frederick Murph, the pastor of the Brookings AME today. Also, and this is one of our legendary heroes. In fact, we had Marlon McKeever earlier this week, but Don Burrows was a former member of the LA Rams and later became a member of the Philadelphia Eagles in their championship year, 1960. He was a star ball player at Fillmore High School in Ventura, quarterback at Pasadena City College, and later became a Little All-American at Ventura College. He died at the age of 75. We have a couple of 8th District residents. Toya Jordan died just recently, October 25th, 2006. She was born January 1948 in Toledo, Ohio. She's a resident of L.A. And spent over 20 years in L.A. Unified as a teacher, primarily at Vine Street School and Aragon School. While there, she received a number of outstanding awards, one of which was the Outstanding Young Ladies Award in 1983, recognition by the L.A. Mayor Tom Bradley as Outstanding Educator, and also in June 52, Most Outstanding Teacher. She also was involved in a number of outside activities, involved in the Medical Association Auxiliary at Mid-City Foundation, leadership role in the board of Pasadena JC Women. Her services will be Saturday at 10 o'clock, November the 4th. And then finally, we have another 8th District resident. William Crenshaw was born in March 1911 in Alabama. He attended State Normal School, what later became known as Alabama State College, where he started football and basketball. He later joined the Armed Forces. Upon his honorable discharge, he moved to Long Beach and was employed at North American Aviation, and later joined the LA County Office of Education as a teacher at the Central Juvenile Hall. After his retirement, he became a volunteer for the Los Angeles Public Library, Jefferson Avenue branch, where he worked with literally thousands of young people, and he passed away on Sunday, September the 3rd.
Adjourn motions. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Ask that we adjourn in memory of two individuals. First, Vance Wilson, Sr., 63 years old, who passed away October 19th. He was a self-taught pianist and lyricist who managed to make a living as a musician, writing lyrics and melodies for such great artists as Tammy Terrell, Marvin Gaye, Brenda Holloway, Barry White, and from Motown. In the 1960s, he and his brothers and a friend performed in major cities and on television as The Remarkables. He is also a friend of Olivia Mitchell, our Deputy Director at CDD of Human Services and Family Development. He's survived by his 2 daughters, 2 sons, 5 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild, 1 sister, and 2 brothers. And though Vance Wilson Sr. has passed on from this earth, certainly his music and his lyrics will continue to play on for generations to come. Secondly, I ask that we adjourn in memory of the aunt of one of my senior caseworkers, Nellie Londoño Hansen, the aunt of Billie Jean Londoño. She passed away on November 3rd. She was born in Colombia on December 22nd, 1947, and came to the United States when she was 18 years old after graduating from high school when she was just 16. She adopted 2 children with her first husband, Nellie, and met the love of her. After she did that with her first husband, she met the love of her life, Ken Hansen. They were married for over 25 years. Both loved jazz music and were the biggest Lakers fans. Ken died suddenly just a few years ago on November 30th, 2003, and shortly after his death, Nellie was unfortunately diagnosed with ovarian cancer, which she fought long and hard for 3 years. She never lost her sense of humor, even though she had her brain and eyesight and legs affected, her throat paralyzed. She continued to laugh and to smile through all of this, which says a lot about her heroism. She passed away this Monday and survived by her mother, an older brother and younger sister, her daughter, son, and niece, Billie Jean, who I mentioned, and 3 nephews. She will be deeply missed. And one last thing, Mr. President. Also, we were informed earlier today, it's not adjourning motion, but for announcements, that there was a cross that was burned outside of Senator Alarcon's office here in the San Fernando Valley, and CHP arrested somebody. But I think it serves all of us whenever we have these incidents to speak out and to condemn them, and certainly here in the San Fernando Valley, anywhere in Los Angeles, when we have these acts of hate that visit us. We know that we still have a long way to go, but that we all speak out as one voice against that horrific symbol. And certainly our thoughts are with Senator Alarcon and his staff.
Thank you. Madam Clerk. Thank you. That concludes. We will return on Tuesday. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you.